Hey my friends, welcome back to a new video. Today we'll be talking about how to cope with intense energies. Right now we are in a phase of intense energies, and we've started this year with truly interesting energies, if we say that way. So we had a full moon, and we've been talking in the previous videos about that energy, how to use it for creating, how to use the energy that we may experience right now through our emotions for creating our desired outcomes. That's a truly powerful method. But still we are moving through our daily lives, and we need to deal with people sometimes, we need to deal with certain circumstances sometimes. So how to cope with all those intense energies? So firstly, is when we have this kind of energies like we have right now, we may feel a bit slower, we may feel a bit more tired, we may feel a bit more down. And if we don't learn to accept all those different sensations, we may feel guilt because we don't feel as productive as other days. We may feel like there's something wrong with us, like we're losing motivation, inspiration, and so on. So again, we start blaming ourselves. We may think that something is out of alignment. But the truth is that everything is exactly as it needs to be. And we need to learn to accept what is so we can use it for its greater or greatest purpose. A great psychologist, Carl Jung, once said that the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. There's no coming to consciousness without pain. And usually pain is like a trigger that motivates us to avoid what's causing the pain. And in the times like this, what's the purpose of more intense energies? We are so good at ignoring what's bothering us with distraction. And when we are doing that for a long time, we become really good at it. Therefore, nature created those wake-up calls with more intense energies that will bring what's bothering us, like a certain trauma maybe, or certain fear, or certain information that may cause pain within us to the surface, so we become more aware of it, and therefore we feel a bit more tired because we are resisting to it. But once we start accepting what's coming to the surface, we can deal with it, we can channel it, we can create with it, we can use it for whatever we choose to do with it. So I want to give you a few tips how to cope with intense energies. And firstly, if I just mention, like I always say to you, we've started judging things as good and bad in this third dimensional realm of duality and polarity, because people around us are doing that. And interesting thing that happens to many people when they start waking up and they start to recognize how often they are judging people around them, how often they are judging themselves. When people become aware of judging others, for example, they suddenly recognize that they have nothing to talk about if they don't judge others. Have you noticed that in your life? Because that is an important stage of evolution, of consciousness. Because once we recognize that that most of the time, the way we've been using the power of communication, we've been misusing it with a great skill of comparing ourselves with others and judging others and talking about others and gossiping and so on, which is a really weak use of the power of the thoughts, right? So as we start waking up to a greater degree, we recognize that we could use our thoughts much more wisely, right? So when it comes to feeling down, when it comes to the realization that maybe we need to be a bit more lazy right now to recognize what's happening in our internal system. Awareness of your needs and the needs of others is something that is really important. Because I mentioned before that way of thinking and that process of waking up. You know, before maybe you've noticed that you're comparing yourself with others and you're judging others and maybe gossiping about others, which is not your fault. It's truly not your fault. We've been trained to use our minds that way. And there is no guideline like how to use your mind correctly or how to use your mind for a bigger purpose. What is the purpose of the mind? And that's what we are learning right now. And you've most probably noticed that there's more information coming out than ever before. More science, more philosophy, more any kind of a knowledge about the power of the mind is coming out. It started, I think that great wave of that kind of a knowledge started in 80s and 90s, like more increased flow of information. It started before for example, in ancient Greek times, many great philosophers started discussing about the mind and thoughts and so on. But in the 80s and 90s, there was a lot of new science started coming out, great psychologists. But what's happening right now since 2020, 2021, 2022, so much of science is coming out, really practical tools, how to use our minds correctly. And it reminds us of how little we know about how to use what we have. And then we have those external energies that we still have not much knowledge about it, because not many people are talking about it, but we may feel it. And when we feel that something is going on, like we have, for example, a certain phase of a powerful full moon or a certain planetary composition that may project a certain powerful electromagnetic waves that we may sense. We don't know what's going on, so we may think there's something wrong with us. But once we start accepting what we sense, we may recognize the information that's present within that sensation. And suddenly it comes to a realization. You know, information is present, so you realize it. So you recognize what it is telling to you. That's how we start coping with more intense energies. Because suddenly, even saying intense energies is a type of a judgment. Because, we have more easier energies and we have a bit stronger energies. But whatever it is, it has its purpose. Sometimes to wake you up, sometimes to support you at your project, sometimes to support you at being at ease with yourself and with people you love. But awareness of your needs and the needs of others, of course, it's not your responsibility to make somebody else happy. But when you are happy with yourself, you will naturally be a great influence to raise happiness in the society, or at least in your family or community or wherever you are. So at the times like that, awareness of your needs is something that is really, really important, because you have some deep needs. Emotional needs, sometimes mental needs, sometimes we need some mental support because we're moving through something that we don't know how to deal with it, like something traumatic, and we don't know how to deal with it. We need some support. And if you don't know what is your need, it's hard for you to recognize what to do, right? So you may start doing things that are not in alignment with you just because you're not aware of what you truly need. So a great introspection could help you to recognize what you really need right now. Because so many times people are following certain material things and they don't know why. And when you go into a deeper level of awareness, you recognize that they are following those things because they are chasing emotions they hope those things would bring to them because they've seen it on social media. Like, that person had that kind of a car and he seemed really happy. That's why I want that car as well. So it's so funny, right? How we associate certain things with certain emotions. So what is a deep need? A deep need often is to feel accepted, right? And how to feel accepted? By accepting yourself. When you learn to accept yourself, and it's not something that we say and it happens, right? You can't just say to yourself, I accept myself, and everything becomes really good and awesome. So it's such a deep process. You may recognize how complex you are. And that's where you recognize the complexity of nature. And when you recognize that complexity of nature, you recognize that there's a lot of work to do, right? And so often we find ourselves not knowing what to do, but we know that there's a lot of work to do on ourselves. So awareness over your deepest needs that will bring you closer to self-acceptance, to feeling at peace with yourself, to loving yourself more, to nurture yourself the way you want to be nurtured, on that heart level, like what you really desire and what you know that you deserve. Those are the things that will bring you closer to your deepest needs. And intense energies are actually pushing you into those questions. Start questioning what you really need, so you will stop chasing what doesn't really matter. So it means, when you get deeper into yourself and you recognize what you really need so you can be the greatest version you can be, everything becomes more natural. Everything starts flowing in your life with greater ease. And that's true, because I don't know if you know somebody who found a way to be more at peace with himself or herself. Or maybe you can find somebody on the internet whom you can trust that is more at peace with himself or herself. You may recognize that that person is living a really beautiful life. Like, things are just flowing naturally. And that's something that we are finding out. Because every time you are at peace with yourself, and here's a proof, every time you are at peace with yourself, things are just flowing. Money comes, right people comes, you feel healthy, you feel happy, you feel in love with life, you feel creative, good ideas are finding you, and sometimes it feels like just luck is on our side. And if you reflect on moments when you've been at peace with yourself, you may say, well, I was at peace with myself because I was on vacation, for example. So then we again associate vacation with that emotional state, but it's not true. Well, we've experienced that, so we think it's true. But what's more real than that memory is that we've been at peace with ourselves on the vacation because we've been not thinking about anything else than that we've been able to observe the beauty of that new location we've been exploring. So a big part is coming from the word exploring. We've been explorers. We've been exploring new things. Which brings us to realization. To be more at peace with yourself, you need to explore life, right? You need to become like a scientist of yourself, of your life. And at the same time, artist of that great existence. You need to explore your life. And exploring means that you try new things, you go to new places, you meet new people, you start something new, you read a new book, you try a new practice. You've heard about meditation, let's try it out. You've heard about maybe certain practice of hypnosis or therapy. Let's try it out. Let's see what works. Explore yourself. Right now is a perfect time to slow down and explore yourself. Of course, there's many things you need to do. You need to go to work, you need to hang with certain people, and it's okay. Even if it feels a bit harder, it's okay. But make sure that when you have time for yourself, you spend it wisely. Don't just go with your unconscious patterns, doing something automatically, feeling exhausted but still scrolling on the phone. Use that time for exploring of yourself and what life is offering to you. Because you never know what's hiding behind the walls of the box in which you're living. And you can only find it out when you step outside of it. And what's the box? It's your limited awareness and perception of how you're perceiving life according to your present knowledge. To expand knowledge means that you need to learn something new, and to learn something new, you need to explore new knowledge, right? Digging into new books, listening new information, new videos, new podcasts, something from what you can learn something new. And every single information can help you if you know how to use it. And to know how to use it, you need some new information that will tell you how to use a certain tool. So it's all about exploration. So be an explorer of your life. That's how you will know more about your deepest needs. You will learn more about your psychic abilities and your mental state, your mental health. Because I think we are living in a society where we are all kind of sick and we've all been kind of traumatized. And I think we're slowly beginning to work on that. And it's becoming more and more familiar to more people, which is great. But as we all know, it's a long process to heal certain wound, to repair certain pattern, to accept ourselves the way we are, so we can acknowledge that we are exactly where we need to be and everything is exactly as it needs to be, so we can learn what we need to learn, to use what we have to create what we want to see. And that's something that is really deep. Just those thoughts, it's something that's really deep, and we need to acknowledge that. And it's a great time to acknowledge what those words really means. So take your time with that and explore yourself. So if there's a tool how to do that, meditation is always a great tool, and journaling a great tool. But you may experience so many things are happening in your life at once. Like maybe problems in your family, sometimes people don't understand you, sometimes people don't accept you as you are. Maybe something at your work, something with your coworkers, or maybe you're living in an environment that is not supporting you. Maybe so many things are going on with finances or with health, or sometimes it happens, so many things at once. And usually those things happens just at the times like this, and then we say, what's going on? How to cope with all of that? And as everything in nature, we need to start at the beginning. We need to start with ourselves. We need to ask ourselves, well, what if everything that's going on right now in my life is just a mirror of what's happening in my emotional system and mental system? Because emotional system is usually a byproduct of the mental system. Actually, our thoughts starts producing chemistry in the body that we experience it through emotions. So emotions are signalizing what kind of chemistry is present in the body, inside of the blood. And as we start sensing these signals, we may recognize that, well, there's something going on. We are definitely not in peace with ourselves. And if we are ignoring these processes for a long time, they may start reflecting in our physical reality, because that would be a bigger signal, right? If we are ignoring those gentle signals, nature will start projecting to you stronger ones that are reminding you to deal with your internal system, because your body is not good with functioning in a stressful environment, right? On a long run, it's the biggest cause of diseases. And that's something we can learn in science. But deep inside, we all know that, because we are not functioning well under stressful situations. So we need to learn to deal with the stress. And we need to find some tools that can help us with that. But the truth is, we've all heard about the tools. And most of us know at least about 1 or 2 or 3 tools that can help us to decrease our levels of stress. But because we are not practicing them consistently, because we haven't developed the muscle of consistency, nothing of it works. And then we say, well, it doesn't work. Everything works with consistency. A seed of a flower or of any plant is a proof that everything works with consistency. Some seeds haven't developed the muscle of consistency, and therefore they never grow into something bigger than they are. That's why when you plant a seed into the ground, sometimes nothing will grow out of it because it's not consistent enough. So we need to understand that everything is already in our power. And when our external world seems like going crazy, we always need to ask ourselves what's happening internally, where to start. Take care of your sleeping patterns. It's a great way to heal your incoherent mind. A great way. When you start sleeping in a way that you go to sleep at a similar time, you wake up at a similar time, on a long shot, you will start to feel much better. You will feel more grounded, you will have more energy, and you will experience more clarity in your mind. You will feel much better. And then another great tool for dealing with stress, especially in those intense energies, is connection with nature. If we don't develop back connection with nature, we'll feel disconnected from everything, because we are the nature. Your physical body is a body of earth, body of nature, and it needs its connection. It's like, your phone, it needs electricity. If you're using it, it needs electricity. So you need to plug it to electricity so you can recharge its batteries. That's how your body works. It needs nature to recharge itself. In many cities, people are completely disconnected from nature, and therefore they're also completely disconnected from themselves. When your body is not functioning well, your mind will not function well, and therefore emotionally, you will experience nothing else but signals that there's something wrong. So to cope with lower emotions, it's so much easier when our body is well nurtured, when we have enough of energy, when we feed it with nutritious food, when we drink enough water, when we are staying active, when we are stretching the muscles to release the tension. So that's something really powerful and actually really simple. When there's a great chaos in our lives, go and take care of your physical body. Be active, meditate, connect with nature. Reconnect with the great cosmos. You have that power. Allow yourself to connect and find a practice that will help you to develop faith and trust that there's everything working in divine order, because only your mind is separating you from that order, but you're still part of it. So if you align your thoughts with that knowingness, everything becomes much easier. Start living more intentionally. Accept that ups and downs are the natural flow of stream of life towards greater balance. And important reminder that I want to give you is that breakdowns bring breakthroughs. So you may feel that right now you're in the middle of a breakdown, but at the same time you are at the beginning of your biggest breakthrough. So remember that everything that's happening is a part of nature. And when it comes to feelings, emotions, and mental sensations, it's all a part of this nature. It's all a part of this life. With acceptance, you will be able to find a greater balance. And you need to know how to take care of your body. You need to take care of your body. When it comes to the planetary composition, all the energies that we feel, they affect our physical bodies. They affect our emotional systems, because it's all still a part of the chemistry that's running through our bodies, through the veins of our bodies. It's a food for the cells. And once we take care of our bodies, we start to read those energies completely differently. We start asking, how can I use what I feel to create what I wish to see? We awaken from a victim to a creator. We become artists of life, and that's a beautiful state to be in. A beautiful state to be in. To every single day wake up and ask yourself, well, what can I create today with what I sense, with what I feel, with what's going on within me? And if anything from this video is resonating with you, I'm happy for that. Let me know in the comment section how you feel and share some love. My friends, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed in today's painting the dragon. I'm sending you all lots of love, blessings, and power. Have a beautiful day, and till next time, one love.